Hello everyone, my name is Kist and welcome back to another episode of Trackling 101. Today, we're going to be building the ultimate yard. Let's do it. So it's been a little bit since the last clip. I decided to add a little caboose yard. I know certain yards had a caboose track where they would store, their cabooses. And go pick them up when they need to put one on the end of a train. So to kind of fill the space, I put in a short little section here for cabooses. And another thing I did in the meantime is I changed the actual hump. I didn't like how far out it graded down, so I kept it 3% and added a three-way switch here, just to kind of make everything look a little bit more organized and not so extra, basically. Now, the question is, what are we going to do next? Well, I need to build over here. I need to put a yard or something else over here. And what I planned on doing over in this area was bulk storage for cars and maintenance facilities, basically, where we're going to have our first kind of car maintenance and other maintenance type tracks. And I believe what to do that is this line that's going straight will be heading to the Roundhouse. Same thing here. And I believe this one we're going to use as a connecting piece between both the yards. That's a good spacing. I think it's a little too far out. Probably use switches over here. I think 2 switches is more than enough. Okay, so I can just connect these two. So same thing here. This piece will be a bordering, or it's going to be in real life we would call them like frontage roads. So this track that we're actually building out is going to act like a frontage road, if you will. Now in real life, a frontage road is a parallel road next to an interstate or highway. And the purpose of it is to keep any oncoming or leaving traffic off the highway. So this is kind of the same thing here, is this track that I'm standing on now and this one are kind of acting like frontage tracks, if you will. To keep any extra tracks of the yard clear, we have these two for trains to bypass on. And I think from here, I'm just going to place another right facing switch. And we're going to go 2 switches out, 1, 2, and place a right facing switch. And this should also be in line with this track. Yeah, very neat. But on the second thought, I'm actually looking at this and I'm like, I think I'm just going to actually make this connect. I don't think there's actually really a point to add any extra tracks, so we probably don't need to. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, now we have our frontage road for this yard connected. Except I lied, because I want to do something else. I think we might do this to start having the yard curve over to the right a little bit better. Now this yard is going to be probably the longest of them all, because again, bulk storage. I think from here we'll go 1 switch, not like that. Thanks, game. We'll go 1 switch, and we'll actually start the yard here. So I'm thinking 1, 2, 3. This is actually not a problem, because what I can do is we can just start the yard from here. I'm thinking, what happens if I just do this? I just have the yard start on this side, basically. Alright, let me be right back again to see if I can kind of figure out a good spacing and solution for this. So I've been busy. Started laying some infrastructure. Connected this up, got rid of the piece I needed to, and just freehanded this. I placed a switch here to start kind of planning for the connectivity. I'm having a hard time though figuring out how exactly I want to do this. I like the idea of like the yard starting from over here on the outside line, but I'm not sure how big of a fan I am for how far away it is. So I think the compromise I'm gonna go for is just build out switches until I'm close enough to these tracks. Okay, I think I figured out what I want to do. I think it'd be good if I can actually place switches correctly. So one thing I've not been a fan of, because it's like what I need to do, is place track. I like the idea of having some kind of separation here. Now what do I mean by that yet? I think I want this to be the start of the yard, like officially. I think I want this to be the start of the yard, and what it's going to do is it's going to be a little bit more spacious, let's say, than this one. It's going to go farther out past. Yeah, I just want to make sure the switch stand is clear enough, or the stands will be cleared by, I'm going to draw this all the way out till I think this will limit the edge of the yard. And why is that? Well, I'm kind of using this set of tracks here as my car maintenance facilities. And so I'm going to use the new sheds to act like an outdoor servicing shed for my cars. And I'm just going to connect these tracks real quickly. Here, beautiful. So again, a short little facility for, a short little yard for maintenancing. Now to actually place the sheds, I'm going to use the brown here. It seems like I cover quite a lot of distance with this. And so I think for practicality purposes, I'm only going to fit 3 and then leave 1 outdoor open. Or maybe I'll use the outside one as a passing track instead. Yeah. I like that idea, but you see it's really close on this side. So I think the smart thing to do would be to do kind of like the mainline spacing. Place a crossover, then a switch on this side. That way we can just have a little bit more space between the track and the shed. Look, so now I got that in place. However, one thing you might notice is that the shed is floating. I'm pretty sure this is just because I placed it over a rail. So what I'm going to do is just try to get it in place as best I can. Better. So at first glance it actually looks pretty good. However, I think I'm going to connect 2 more just to make it actually look a little bit longer. So I wonder if I can do that here. I like the look of that a lot. Now, it's not perfect. It's bowing in a little bit. At least from this perspective, I don't think you can really tell. So I am gonna keep it. I might place the 3rd one momentarily. We'll probably do that after though, but let's continue with the actual yard. So, right, I have my car maintenance tracks here for outdoor servicing. Just light work, you know, maybe cleaning a car, oiling a car, just whatever the case might be, but there's all that fun stuff can happen here. You can have like a little highway or frontage track, if you will, and get rid of this switch. So from here, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna build, like I said, the yard. And I think to help us do that, we're going to utilize another 3-point switch. What I do? It was, I believe, this. Yep. Okay, so there's just a lot going on right now. I believe this is what I want to do. Actually, no. I'm not going to use a 3-point. I think it'd look a little weird. I'm going to do this. Have a switch go to the left. I'm going to place a crossover. Now the point of this is just to make sure I can clear the switch stand with a decent amount of room, like enough room to make it believable. I think that was it. So 3 crossovers from the switch. Seems to be like a good width. Now from here, I can connect it into this track. I know it's going to swivel out, so I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to go here, here out, till here, just place a piece in. Ta-da! Now I kind of have, again, like another bypass or just a better connection that stays clear of the yard. Okay? So now that I have track 1 in place, I can kind of just build. Now, I should say real quickly, the reason I deleted that 3-point is because remember, currently the right turnout is not parallel, or it's not accurate, I should say. So to just kind of fix it, I'm placing a right-facing switch because apparently the radius is still the same. Now I'm actually gonna try it. What if I do the hard left? Oh, we have to get the plays. 1 second. Nope, still inaccurate. That's kind of annoying. So to do this, I'm gonna place it from this side. Hopefully they'll actually connect. There we go. And somehow it lines up perfectly. So, yep, I don't know. Now I think, again, this yard's pretty long, so I'm going to go, yeah, we'll just do 200 on the short side. So we, like I said, we got plenty of space. I think this will be 9 tracks. So yes, this is how wide the yard's gonna be. Now I actually like it quite a lot. Now with the switch, what I just did over here was that switch up ahead is gonna be our exterior track. Like I said, we don't need the entire space, so if we don't need to use it, then we don't need to use it. However, just like before, I'm trying to make sure all of our passage tracks, or tracks that we're not going to use for storage, are very clear and separate. So we can kind of clearly see that this is another type of yard, that is another line for something else. Now same thing here, it was 200. So we're going to go 200 and see what happens. I actually lied, I'm going to make it a little bit shorter so I can connect it to the switch later. So this is for us to connect to. Let me go 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I actually just realized I should probably do it from this side because that right facing switch is going to be off. Wait, no, I'm a dummy. I can hold on. Okay, so I believe it was 9. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the middle point of it all. And I do here is I just take that and place a stub switch this way. And now I can connect 4 more switches, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. And it should, granted I did everything correctly, be in line with our switch over here. And look at that, we did a good job. So now I can just connect it and we have our storage yard. Very, very, very nice. So let me just get the tracks in place real quickly and we're just gonna cut back when I am all done. Alright, another yard done. So now that we actually kind of got the actual, I'm gonna see that all the yards are in place. We have our inbound all the way on the right, we have our hump classification, we have bulk car storage, we have our outbound yard over there. Now this is kind of the easy part. It just takes a little bit of time because just the kind of spacings we used. That's one crossover, then a switch worth of spacing, and then a switch facing this way. But the actual, I'm gonna say exterior tracks, and just connecting everything together is the easy part. And it takes a long time because everything is kind of far apart. Now I do realize one, I want to say, flaw of this and how I built it so far is the spacing of the outbound yard. Now that we kind of have the hump yard in place, there's almost no reason for it to be this far back. And I'm actually thinking that we can probably extend the yard too, because we have so much space horizontally that we could use. I believe after I get everything connected, the final version of the yard will be me shifting it that way. However, I'm not going to show it because I have a feeling we're already going to run really long at this point. So what do I do from here? Well, I'm just going to continue this track straight out for a little bit. Then I think the smart plan is to move from this switch here and place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we'll do 4 switches like this, and then I'm going to go 1, 2. 2 switches out, I think. That looks like a good angle. Now I just get to replace. I don't think I need to have an extra track over here. Actually, no. It would be a little bit of redundancy, so we don't want that yet. So I have my track there in place, and I have my track here in place. I think that, except that, looks rather nice. I think we did what? 1, I wanted to start over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe now 5. Yeah. Now I can replace it with this. I'm actually kind of be completely transparent with you. My overall thoughts on this right now is without the trees, it looks very empty, right? Things kind of look a little bit weird spaced out this much. However, I will be keeping some of the trees in between these bigger gaps just to kind of create a little bit of a buffer and fill the space a little bit more. So I'm not worried at all for how this is going to look. Now from here, I think I'm just going to connect it to the switch. See what happens. Now, you know you're doing it wrong. Let's see. I want to see if it gets the weird connection. Nope, it won't. But you know you're doing it okay if it connects to the switch in the right direction. If it was like, I want to say doing 180 and turning back around on me and kind of pinching itself, then it'd be in a weird spot. I think I like this though. However, I'm not a big fan of this switch. I think we can make this curve to the left a little bit nicer. Just place I move this guy back by 2 places. do 17. See what happens. Yeah, this looks a lot rounder. I'm actually pretty happy with it. Now from here, I wonder what the radius is between these two. So we're on 129. I'm gonna stop it here. We got 120. Delete this. Put another piece back. Cool. Connect, and ta-da! A nice one, smooth curve. Now we can just connect this up. Now the point of this, I'm gonna say, way of connection is after, like, the bulk storage isn't gonna be as important, because if cars are being actively sorted, then they need to be taken from active places. And so it makes a little bit more sense to kind of keep this track, these operations, separate than the standard operations. It's like I expect more trains to be coming through the classification yard, and they might go put cars or whatever the case in long-term storage, and so it may not be necessarily, it just may not be as important for cars to be taken out of here. Now we're gonna get into the final stretch of this all, the roundhouse. So this track that I'm in front of right now seems to be the more central of all the tracks. Yeah, there's 5 straight pieces coming out. 2 on this side, 1 here, and 2 right here. So this one's kind of in the middle of it all. And it makes sense because this is one of the more serious arteries of our yard. So I'm going to build this out for a little bit, using roads extended to kind of gauge how far out I want to go. I think 70 meters. That sounds good. Now, the main thing I'm going to do is place my turntable 2. This is going to be a big roundhouse, so I need a big turntable for all the engines in the game. Now, the actual tutorial part of this, how do I actually make a really good looking roundhouse? Now, this is the longest part, is actually setting up all the tracks. So the secret formula for this is 5 and 30. 5-meter segments and 30 meters out. Now, the actual lining up of it, we're going to kind of use that as an example. We're going to go to the left. Okay, so my little formula for lining the tracks up correctly is using the 5-meter segment we already placed. If I draw a straight line down from the rail we connected, or the rail we built out, the edge of the turntable should be on that line, the outside edge, so of the right rail should be on that center line. From here, what I can do, grab another rail, probably either rail 1, rail 2. We're gonna go 5 meters out, like so. Now you can see is we have a little bit of clipping here, but this looks a little bit more reminiscent of what you might actually find on a real turntable. To do the same thing here, or we can't just do it on one side, we should also go to the other side, because that's how we're gonna ensure it's parallel. You can also use this method to verify where the tracks are coming in. So this one's just a little bit to the left of center. Well, if we go back to the other side, yeah, a little bit left to center, so that seems to be symmetrical. And now we just get to do this for the entire turntable. Yay! Okay, so we have a slight problem, is that the rails are, it's not perfect. We have like a slight little gap. It's probably gonna drive me insane. So there is a way to fix it, and it's gonna require some jank track laying. So remember that the only thing that needs to be safe is the inside of the rail. So what we can do is just shift it over enough the inside of the rail is completely touching. Now from here you see, well, that doesn't work. Okay, let's cut over here. Now we just need to kind of feather it until the discrepancy happens, or the discrepancy is gone. Okay, and in this case, it is. It may not look like it works, but trust me, it works. We just gotta be careful about these 3 tracks here. Same thing on this side. So everything looks like it works. And ta-da! We have a full 360-degree turntable. We can literally do anything with this. Now, we're just gonna do the easy part now. So I just went and I'm trying to figure out the spacing which tracks I want. And for this case, I think I'm gonna use these 3 here for our tracks. So what I'm gonna do is just simply connect them. So before I connect that last track, what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend this one 35, same thing here, 35 meters, just because. Now what I'm going to do is put a bumper on each end, followed with ballast. And a 7.4 meters on both. Ta-da! Looks like everything is really starting to come together now. Now this last little piece, we can probably just do a straight piece, 24 meters, that's fine. Then what? It's gonna connect kind of a radius. Yeah, this will actually probably work really well. So now I can just connect these 2. Should be no problem. Ta-da! Now everything's connected, for the most part, into the roundhouse. Okie doke. So to actually build the roundhouse, what we're first going to need to do is pick a good track you want to start. And I know now that these, I think 4 over here are a little bit smushed, or these 3 right here are a little bit smushed. So to make sure my spacing is pretty consistent, I'm not going to build from those just yet. Now, to actually build at least the roundhouse design I use, is you're going to want to build 30 meters out for both, for all the tracks. So let's do a few of these now. Okie doke, lemon squeezy, easy peasy, we did it, yay. Now, you might think, oh, well, we can just place a shed, right? Wrong. So, unfortunately, it's like when you place stuff on the ground, like it literally is on the ground. It's unlike the track where it's raised, it's on the ground. So I can't just, put a shed on the ground and call it good. I need to raise it up a little bit. Now, a good way to do that is using the filling, or the embankment. So I just do random size pieces, and you want to do every other 2, because remember the shed takes 2 stalls. So if you place them on every other 2, like so, you should be able to place the sheds completely fine. Now here is where the tedious part is. So this entire thing is tedious, but this one can take a long time. So when it comes to the actual sheds, we basically want to use, the center of both the tracks as our frame of reference. You can see here that I think I am lined up center. It's very, very close. So looking on the left and the right side, what I'm looking for is where the rails are coming into contact. So right now it's a little bit higher than the rails, which actually I'm okay with. But it's a little far over to the left. So it's a little tilted to the left. So I'm like, oh, alright. I think I'm not going to time lapse this too much or at all. I will show you though how I kind of get this in line as best as I can. I need to find a point where both the rails are kind of touching-ish. Oh crap. I think that size was it. I like that. I like that a lot. So we're going to go into the rails kind of mesh. Okay, that looks rather good. Let's see how that feels here. That looks rather straight too. And now once you get the first one in, it shouldn't take as long for the second one. Here's why. One thing you can do is use the sides of, you know what, I lied. Oh, okay, that took way too long. So I got the first one in place finally. The next thing you want to do is similar, I guess. You want to make sure that the shed is roughly center, but now we're actually going to use the other shed as our reference. Okay. Now the reason I placed this one closer is because I don't want as much of a gap between the sheds. So I just need to try again and make sure I can place this roughly, relatively close to each other. Okay, and that's what the first two look like. I delete the excess back here. Beautiful. And now we just need to do this for a while. I'll be back when it's done. I did want to share with you real quickly how I've been getting the spacing side to side. I wasn't just gonna leave you guys ghosted and not show you how I'm actually getting the spacing. I built those 30-meter segments and I placed my piece of embankment in the middle of them. Then I'm going to take my brown shed and looking on the right side here at the very corner, I'm looking for it to line up with the textures. I'm waiting for the textures to line up. Now, once I got it in line, I cut back to the middle. I'm looking at the rail side to side spacing. On the left, it's a little bit bigger than on the right. So I'm going to turn it to about even. Now I'm like, uh-oh. Now I need to get it closer. Just kind of do this little dance back and forth until I get it in line roughly. There seems to be some kind of little discrepancy, unfortunately. So maybe we can make it a little bit better so the angle isn't so bad, but I think we're just going to have to live with that world or that fact that it's going to be a little off from the center. Yeah, I like that a little bit more. Okay, so now that we have our final shed in place, and the only reason I'm not doing any more is because of the spacing here. If I place one more, it's gonna probably hit this track, which we don't want. So, how many sheds do we have? Well, let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 times 2 is 26. We have 26 stall roundhouse. That's pretty crazy. So the next thing is actually the tracks. You can get rid of all of our extra tracks. Literally everything that we placed can be deleted. The fun part is we just gotta connect all of it to the proper rail. And what's going to happen is we get this little movement. Now, if you really want to, I guess you could line it up to the turntable exactly, but no thank you. That is why we have these 5-meter segments. Just so we can just connect them to that. It should be all well and dandy. So let's just quickly go ahead and connect all the tracks. Okay. And ta-da! All 26 of the stalls are now connected to the turntable. Now with regards to all the extra track, well, you can just build pieces out. I think for this case, on this side specifically, we'll go 30. Okay, so now we have the stubs in place. We can just add our bumpers to them and we can kind of finalize them. And ta-da again. We have, was it nine tracks from the turntable now. So to kind of really complete this is we just need to complete it for these last 5. So let me just build these real quickly and we'll talk about finally finishing the yard. Holy crap, this looks really cool. Oh my god, this actually turned out a lot better than I thought it would. It was actually easier compared to my previous version of it. I say previous version on another world that I used. This is what the yard looks like from the sky. Have the actual hump here and the connection tracks leading into the hump. Got just our connecting tracks for the outbound yard. We have our double line main. Everything's just, it's coming together finally. This looks so cool. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Now the final step we're going to do is probably the easiest out of all of it. So we just need to make a line that goes around the sheds. We're going to start from over here. So like everything else, what we're going to do is we're going to do a spiral curve. Yay. What that entails is I'm going to do a 100-meter segment. Let's do 10 meters. And this will be our transition into the curve. And we're probably going to do, I'm thinking 60. But fine, 62. Why not? We'll do 45-meter segment. Okay, so 62 is a little too small. I'm gonna bump up to 68. I think I can actually do bigger. I saw in the patch notes for the Coal update that they fixed some of the circle mode stuff. I did test it with a piece earlier and that seemed to be fine when I did. Okay, well now that I finished the curve, let's do 10 meters. And now I think we can just connect into our switch. Ta-da! I think that's the yard done, everyone. Let's go take a look at it in Roads Extended. Holy this thing looks amazing. Just look at its size compared to the rest of the map. It makes everything else look small in comparison. And honestly, I couldn't be more happy with it. I'm so excited for this. Now, between the last clip and now, I did do some small details and I reworked some things. I did extend the outbound yard a little bit, and I added telegraph offices throughout the yard, just to kind of, you know, be able to move around quickly if I'm not using extended. And near the roundhouse, I did add more facilities. I have a water tower here, the firewood depot, a sand house, coaling tower, and then another water tower. And I don't know how many times I can say it. I'm just really happy with how this turned out. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. And if you made it through part 1 and now part 2, my hat off to you. Thank you so much. Now, if you're here just watching part 2, you should go check out part 1. We talk a lot about just building a yard and my overall thought process, and you'll see me struggle with this dang 3-point switch. There's so much to talk about, and again, I'm just so excited to share it with you all. And hey, since you're here, why don't you consider liking and subscribing? Turns out not so many of you are fully subscribed, so why don't you go ahead and click the like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Alrighty everyone, my name is Kiss, and I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.